Hi, and welcome to another tutorial. Today we will look at how to make a master remedy. Now, to make a master remedy can take you 5 to 10 minutes or sometimes even longer. That's because we have to wait for the 1 minute time period. And it also depends on how complex the analysis is. But the benefits to this is worth the time you spend. You can look at it from the viewpoint that you basically spend the same time in which you have done one session or one treatment anyway to make a master remedy, which will then allow you to speed up the whole process. Let me give you an example. We do about 70 clients or 70 treatments every single day, and without a master remedy, this would not be possible. You can do your own maths. 70 clients at, let's say, for argument's sake, 5 minutes each, and I can tell you this is not always the case, but that works out about 6 hours a day. And with a master remedy, that comes down to just over an hour. Well, the system we use bring it even down to about 20 minutes, but that's a different story. I'm going to use a pure fictional example just to explain the basic idea. We use a system I designed about 40 years ago where we believe that everything starts as an emotion and that will affect the physical body. Let's say our client had a stomach problem. So we're going to start off using the organ remedy for stomach. And this is linked to emotional fear of loss. And for that, we're using the remedy fear of loss. We say a strong belief that you are not good enough. And then we also use another emotional remedy, which is not being good enough. Now here the emotional issues addressed, it would be you experience the feeling of not being good enough, worthlessness, inferior or low self-esteem, identity issue. You feel that you do not have the inner strength to deal with the burdens in life. You may be exploited or feel like a victim. You feel you have to struggle more than others, yet you still are not good enough. And then I'm going to throw into the mix a remedy called Gastoline, which is basically a homeopathic complex, but I broke it down just to make it more interesting. And the remedy's got robina, capsicum, phosphor, and nat phos in it. We are back at the hurricane and we are ready to make our master remedy. I had prepared a few vials with 10 drops of alcohol in it so we can make our master remedy. Now to make the remedy, we're gonna add a rate for stomach, which is 9, 12, 19, 24, and 37. And we also gonna add to that the remedy for fear of loss, which is 7, 21, 23, 24, and 25. The last two dials is not in use. We will use about energy of 75, and we're going to use a potency for this example of 200C, which is 4, 6, and 8. And we can place our first vial onto the output plate. We will select the base 44 because we're making a base 44 remedy, and we use a 1 minute time period, and we then press the start button. After the time period had lapsed, our first remedy is ready. We'll take it off and put it aside. We're then gonna add a next remedy, which is the emotional remedy, which is 6, 12, 13, 14, and 14. And we're also going to add the first homeopathic remedy, which is robina, which is 9, 12, 18, 31, and 42. Then we place another vial of 10 drops of alcohol on the output plate. We will leave all our settings as the same and press the start button. After our time period had lapsed, we can remove our remedy and place it aside, and we will then add the next two remedies, which is capsicum, which is then 6, 18, 26, 35, and 40. And then we're going to use phosphor, which is 1, 15, 27, and 41. Then the last 3 dials will not be in use. We leave the potency and energy as it is, and we start the start button. Our second remedy is ready and we can take it off. We will now add the next remedies, which is capsicum, which is 6, 18, 26, 35, and 40. And the next remedy is phosphor, which is 1, 15, 27, and 41. And the last 3 dials is not in use. We leave the energy and potency as it is, and we add our next container and we press the start button. Our third set of remedies are now ready, and we can take it off and put it aside. Since we have only one remedy left, I normally like to take a bit of a shortcut here. What I will do is I will start by adding the remedies that we previously had made all together, and we will then place this onto the input plate, and we'll place a container of alcohol onto the output plate, and we will now dial our last remedy, which is natphos, which is then 6, 24, 34, and 43. And the rest of the dials will be all on 0. We leave our energy and potency as it is, and we press the start button. After the time period had lapsed, we had now successfully made a master remedy consists out of 7 different remedies, and we are ready now to use this as the master remedy. You can now take it off, and as usual give it a good shake, and we now have a master remedy ready to be used. So I can hear everybody go, so what's the point? You just made a complex remedy. What's the big deal? Well, the answer to this is that this is a remedy I made for one specific person alone, and that's the reason why we call it a master remedy. Now, there's a few ways that I can use this. In the first place, I can actually use the master remedy on my input plate. I can place a container with some alcohol onto the output plate. I can now switch to copy. I can now select a dedicated energy and potency level for this specific condition or issue, and then make a remedy from that by pressing the start button. You can now take this remedy and add it to a 30 milliliter dropper bottle, and then add distilled water to it, and the person can then take it as a normal homeopathic remedy, where he will take it 3 drops 3 times a day, or either 3 drops 6 times a day. That's one way to actually supply a person with a specific remedy constantly over a time period. The other alternative to this would be to place a witness of your client onto the output plate and then do a normal 1-minute treatment. You can opt for a for booster treatment where we do 4 consecutive 1-minute treatments, but that will just prolong the time period that you are treating the person, and you basically just want to do a single treatment because you're going to do a repeat 3 days later. A normal treatment will last for 3.75 days, so we normally treat only every 3 days. And that's another way of actually using a master remedy as a distant treatment option. I also would like to look at a slightly different way of actually making a master remedy. And this is the cheat way, or the simple way. Is we will start off by having the homeopathic cards for the homeopathic remedy. And I also have the card for the rate for stomach, the organ. You can insert those into the card slot, and then you only need to add the 2 other remedies, which is fear of loss and the emotional remedy, which is then 7, 21, 23, 24, and 25. And then the last one is then 6, and then 12, and 13, and 14. The rest of the dials will be on 0. You can now immediately select a proper energy and potency level here, because you are going to make immediately one single master remedy. You select the 44, base 44, and you're still on the 1-minute time period. And all you need to do now is press the start button. After the time period had lapsed, then you had actually made within 1 minute a master remedy. And that's one way of making a master remedy much faster. There's still an alternative to this, and that would be that if I remove all the cards except the stomach card, okay, and then I have the actual remedy of the complex remedy of the homeopathic remedy that we're going to use. You can then still dial up the 2 rates that you need, and again the same rule apply. You can actually just add a container with alcohol onto your output plate and then press the start button and copy the remedy. That would be another way of combining different systems or different modalities into one, and then make yourself one single remedy. So here's another question. Your client come for a visit, or he can call you and tell you that now all of a sudden he developed diarrhea, because we are now working on his stomach issues. And we have 2 options. One, to add the remedy for diarrhea into his master remedy, or make it separately. By adding it to his master remedy, you must remember that if you do that, you can't remove it, and therefore you're going to have to treat him for a prolonged period of time with an added remedy of diarrhea, which is unnecessary. So the solution to this would be to take the master remedy, then take the remedy for diarrhea. I'm using mix 15, which is 3, 7, 11, 13. We make sure that all the rest of the dials will be on 0. And we select appropriate energy and potency level for it. And now we can do one of 2 things. We can either treat the person over a distance, or if he had visited you, you can actually then make a small sample of a remedy with the master remedy and add it with the diarrhea, and then make it up as a homeopathic remedy where you put 50 drops into a 50 milliliter dropper bottle, and then that can be taken orally 3 drops 3 times a day, or 3 drops 6 times a day. that is another option of adding additional remedies into the system without compromising your master remedy. You must remember the master remedy is something that you're going to use for quite a while, and anything that you add to it can just make it difficult, because if it's not necessary, then it's not appropriate to put it into your master remedy. And that's basically how you make a master remedy. In our next tutorial, I would like to look at how to calculate a rate, and I want to look into the traditional way and also then the way or the system that we are using. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you.